All right, I think Keith Ellerson is the best choice to head up the DNC. I've said that in the past. Mr. Ellerson has been in politics for quite a while. He has mentored quite a few different Democratic candidates for various offices throughout the state of Minnesota. And I believe that he has a vision to take the Democratic Party forward in the progressive line that it needs to run in. Now, Mr. Ellerson has indicated that if he is successful in his bid to become the chairman of the DNC, that he will step down from his position as the representative from his district in the state of Minnesota. And that is absolutely a good thing. Now, let me say this. Mr. Ellerson is being attacked by a specific segment within the Democratic Party, and that segment is those that are supremely and unequivocally aligned with Israel, and they consistently go back to the fact that Mr. Ellerson was and possibly still is a supporter of some, not all, of the ideas of Minister Farrakhan. And even Minister Farrakhan has walked back some of his earlier comments about Israel, okay? But here's some information. Here's Mr. Ellerson speaking to you in his own words. And you know, basically are going to have to make up your mind about him, just as the Democratic powers that be are going to have to make up their mind. Now, I think he's got enough votes to get the spot, and he does have the backing of Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and also Chuck Schumer. So I think he's going to get in. But anyway, here's a clip from AM Joy with Mr. Ellerson making his comments.
Joining me now is Democratic Congressman Keith Ellerson of Minnesota, who's running for chairman of the Democratic National Committee. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
In person.
Well, you know, we're here in New York. It's good to be with you.
Great to be here. So, listen, I want to just talk to you about that very point. You are a politician. You are a lawmaker.
I am.
Explain to the people just how sensitive political leaders are to phone calls and emails to their office.
You know, this is one of the most important lessons to learn in a democracy. Calling your congressman works. It actually does.
Do you get a lot of calls?
We get a ton of calls, but when they start concentrating on a particular subject, we focus our attention on that subject. I mean, the thing is, I've had folks call me on horse slaughter, for example, and we got to dig into it and figure out what's going on. But when it's a big topic, immigration, ethics reform, when it's a big topic, you know, minimum wage, stuff like that, we really do drive based on what our constituents are telling us. So I tell people, you know, every single member of Congress and every state legislature and city council knows who put them in office and who can take them out. And if you exert your power, you can make a big difference.
Yeah, and it's more powerful than a Trump tweet, for instance.
Well, you know, politicians, they see the light when they feel the heat.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's not just some Trumpster over there. As a matter of fact, the president can't do much to or for members of Congress.
Right.
I mean, they can issue veto threats, and that's powerful. And of course, they have their own power. But members of Congress are pretty jealous about their own power.
Yeah.
And our line of accountability is to the district.
Yeah. Article 1 of the Constitution, Congress, not the president. All right, let's talk about some of the issues at issue in your race for DNC chair. And let's start first with the Bernie Sanders, and we have to get that out of off the table. Because one of the arguments, Vox has a great article about it, there are a lot of people who are making the argument that one reason to choose you is that Bernie Sanders supporters would feel that they had gotten something in the bargain, that they'd gotten somebody who was a Sanders supporter early, then did support Hillary Clinton, but at least that you'd represent that point of view.
Sure.
Is that an important thing to do, or what do you make of the argument by a lot of Clinton supporters who say, wait, Bernie Sanders supporters aren't Democrats, we need to take care of Democrats first?
Well, Bernie supporters are Democrats. I'm a Democrat. But I supported both because I believe we got to have inclusion. Can we send anybody away? We need every single person, Democrat, potential Democrat, independent, Green Party member, we need them all, because you know what? We live in the era of Donald Trump. And he is already moving quick to install the foreclosure king at Treasury, the anti-public education person at Education, the climate denier at EPA. There is no one we have to waste. And so my message is one of unity. All my fellow candidates in this race are friends. I love them and I honor their service. But I must say that no matter who wins, and I really believe I should, we are all going to have to work together, because there is a greater issue here, and this is the welfare of the American people.
Let's talk about another fundamental issue that I hear more than anything else probably in my Twitter feed, that people want to see the Democrats fight. They don't want to see them say, we'll work with Donald Trump if ... Should Democrats work with Trump or fight Trump at every turn?
Fight Trump at every turn. If there was an instant, even a nanosecond, in which we thought we might want to work with him, he's proven that that's a bad idea by his appointments. He's already shown what he wants to do. He's gotten more big-time Wall Streeters in there than anybody thought he would. He's getting people with, nefarious ties that he's associating with. I mean, his cabinet, for example, has, in the midst of a rental housing crisis, he picked somebody who knows nothing about housing. Ben Carson.
Ben Carson, neurosurgeon.
So we're at a point where he has made very clear we have no common ground. It's our job to fight Trumpism, but not only just to verbally talk bad about it. We've got to go to the neighborhoods, to the VFW halls, the union halls, grocery stores, and hair shops, and talk to people in Detroit and Flint, but also in Kentucky. Both. We got to talk to both and explain to people not only the damage that he's doing to them, taking away their health care, won't even work on fixing the water crisis, but actually what we would do, which is to help make government work for them.
Well, so you brought up another very important point, which is this question of whether to go searching for basically core Republicans. White working class voters are Republicans for the most part, even some who may have voted for Barack Obama a couple times. And in the main, they're Republicans. Whether Democrats should go looking for them and trying to get them to come over or turn out their vote. Look, if Democrats had turned out 50,000 more votes in Detroit and Philly and Milwaukee, Hillary Clinton would be president right now. So which is the priority if you're DNC chair?
Well, you've identified the short-term answer to why we lost, those 3 states. But we have a longer-term problem, which is that we've lost 935 state house seats in the last 8 years, many governorships. And so you're right in the short term, but in the long term, we really got to go 50 states. And we got to go 3,141 counties. We got to get granular. We got to get into the neighborhoods. And we got to use local people to go talk to their neighbors. And we've got the DNC should help them do that with money, with data, with tools, technology, live stream, everything. That is how we're going to win. We've got to invest in the whole country and stop ignoring the people who we know will vote for us or who we know won't vote for us. And we've got to go talk to everybody. Yeah,
one of the things that one of your opponents, Tom Perez, who's going for DNC chair, said needs to happen is for the DNC to fully fund the voting rights component in the DNC. There's an office, I guess, dedicated to voting rights.
Sure.
We haven't heard about it. We certainly didn't hear about it in this last election.
Oh, boy.
Do you agree with that idea, and how would it work under Keith Ellerson as DNC chair?
Well, I agree with Tom on this. Tom and I are friends, by the way, and it's like a friendly game of basketball. I'm trying to win, but no matter who wins, we're going to be buddies anyway. Here's the thing. We absolutely have to fund that, but let me tell you, I'm the one who has dealt with voter suppression on the ballot. In 2012, Republicans in Minnesota tried to put a voter ID amendment on our Constitution, which would require a very restrictive government-issued ID for you to vote. And my campaign, and I'm in the so-called safe blue seat, dedicated our campaign to defeating it. People ran polls and said, Keith, it's polling too good, we can't beat it. I said, I don't care about odds. I care about what's right and what's wrong. And we set out to defeat it, and we got help along the way, and we ended up beating it at the polls. You can beat voter suppression at the polls and in the courts. Both are important. The DNC chair, however, is primarily focused on electoral outcomes, though we will fight them in court too.
All right, we're going to keep you here, Keith Ellerson. Now we've got you. We're not going to...
All right, so that's the first portion of the interview. Let me bring up the second portion. Hang on.
Minnesota, and he's back with me. So how do you beat that guy? I mean, he's got supposedly the imprimatur of the Obama world, right? And he is, he's labor secretary, etc. What is your argument? Why you and not Tom Perez?
Well, as I said, I admire Tom Perez, but I'm the only one who's had the kind of electoral success that we're going to need to get back into majorities all over the states and in Congress and win at the ballot box. I've got myself elected 8 times. There are zero Republicans statewide in Minnesota. Why? Because I jack up the vote in my district, and so because I turn out the vote, I outperformed the Democratic average in my state by about 60,000 votes. And if I hadn't have done that, Minnesota would have went red. We only beat them by about 42,000 votes, but I outperformed the Democratic average by about 60,000 votes. So the fact is that if this job's about getting Democrats elected, I'm unique in the field in doing it. And also, I've raised money. I've given over $1 million to my state party and raised money for the DCCC and other candidates. So in the core proficiencies of the job, resource raising and getting Dems elected, there's no one running who does it like I do.
And sir, you've managed to do that while being 2 things in the crosshairs of Trump world, being black and being Muslim.
Yeah, I'm for those.
Do you think it's important, would it be an important statement for the Democratic Party to make to proactively put somebody who is black and Muslim in the DNC chair, or would it cause controversy, consternation, division?
For me, it doesn't matter, right? Because I am as I am, and I can only be what I am. So I just go forward fighting to focus on what the voters need, what the base Democratic voters need, not on myself. It ain't about me at all. And so even though I am what I am, it's never been a barrier to me getting elected. My district is 63% white, and yet I talk about racial justice. They support me year after year because they know that I care about them. I knock doors, bleed for them, fight for them every single day. And let me tell you, it is a heartbreak to have to leave my congressional seat if I win the DNC race, but I will, even though I don't want to, but I will. Because it's what does it serve my constituents now for us to be a little blue dot in a red sea?
Yeah.
We've got to shift the playing field so that we got people in the majority in the Minnesota State Senate and House and in Kansas and Missouri and Michigan and all over the country. Because these people are moving with right to work for less laws, and they're trying to strip Obamacare from people, and they're doing all kinds of bad things across the state, including trying to pass these photo ID laws, which I think are nothing more than voter suppression. And look, Democrats have not gotten hip to the fact that Republicans identify voter suppression as a core strategic goal. We have not identified a voter expansion as a core strategic goal. And if I'm the DNC chair, we will. And we'll be fighting to increase the pie, not just say what's the minimum we need to win. We will say that the vote and the ballot and Democratic participation is the right of every American, and we're going to bring it to them.
I want to come back to the Muslim issue in a minute, but I want to quickly, just because of what you just said, did the DNC err by not fighting voter suppression more overtly and vigorously in this past election?
Did the DNC? I would say all of us Democrats, including me, could have done more, and we should have done more. I have a record of fighting voter suppression, and I'll kick that into a whole nother level if I have the power of the DNC chair.
Yeah, and I want to know, so I want to come to one of the other issues that people who are your detractors, who try to use against you, is the fact that you were a supporter of Minister Louis Farrakhan, that you did obviously attend the Million Man March, which is nothing negative. The Million Man March was a pretty positive thing. But how do you answer those who try to throw Farrakhan at you?
Well, here's what I'd say. If they're asking me who has guided my political thinking, I say, well, A. Philip Randolph. I say Bayard Rustin. I say Walter Reuther, Martin Luther King. I say Paul Wellstone, Hubert H. Humphrey. I say Nellie Stone Johnson, who's a black woman who helps found the Democratic Farmer Labor Party in Minnesota. Asking me about the gentleman you mentioned doesn't do anything to help people understand where I'm coming from. So at the end of the day, it's distraction, it's diversion, and it's just a way to try to defeat my candidacy.
Well, it's also a way to try to divide you with Jewish Democrats, right?
Well, you look, the Democratic Party enjoys 71% support from the Jewish community. We absolutely need it. It's fundamental and important to our success. We value and prize our Jewish support from the Democratic Party, and we know Republicans don't like it, and they're going to try to wedge it. But what I say is, let's hang together.
Yep.
Because we got more in common, and we're going to stick together.
What's the most important change that you would make to the DNC as chair?
We would reorient the whole institution toward voter turnout 365 days a year in every single district in the country. We would not rely on TV advertising as much, but
That's okay.
we'd use it.
Yeah.
But it would be more focused on field, door-to-door, neighborhood, neighbor to neighbor. We would go into rural America. We go into the blue states that we know we have. So, you know, in California, we go there to fundraise, but they have had an excellent run of progressive success there. Well, let's look at some of their ideas. Same thing here in New York. We go there and say, hey, can you fund the campaign? But we don't say, how is it that you're able to pass laws that really enhance human life? And we need to adopt their organizing tools.
Sure.
And so that's what I think, that's the real key that we would do.
And lastly, how do you get people under 40 to care about politics, and how could you do that? As
well, you know, they desperately do already, right? So I got two young people, I almost call them kids, two young people who used to work for me as of a few weeks ago. One is Fu Lee, and he's Representative Fu Lee, and Erin McQuaid, who is a black gay woman married to her love of her life, who's female, in a suburban district in Minnesota, and people don't care about none of those demographics. They care about the fact that she kicks down doors for them, and she is a Minnesota state legislator. When they came to work for me, I said, what's your long-term goal? They said, hey, we want to do what you do, man. I said, you know what, we're going to make it happen. And we trained them, we got them the skills they needed, and now they are state legislators, public servants, and I couldn't be prouder of them. But this needs to happen all over the country. Young people need to be put in charge, not just hired as a staffer, but running the show. And that is the way that we're going to win. If I'm DNC chair, there's going to be a lot more young folks on the DNC board. We're going to keep our institutional memory. People don't need to be afraid of that. We're going to keep folks who know where the bodies are buried and been around the block.
Sure.
But we are going to invest ourselves with new energy. We're going to give a budget to young Democrats to make sure they're organizing on campus all over this country. And we're going to have a special new relationship with young Democrats of America who are past college but not yet into midlife.
Right.
So we think millennials are a big deal. And look, if you look at all the folks, my son is running for city council.
Right.
His name's Jeremiah Ellison. He's running. I mean, he's 26 years old. He got inspired by standing up for police accountability issues.
Yep. Well, Congressman Keith Ellerson, both making his pitch for DNC chair and proving that black indeed don't crack. 26-year-old child. All right. Well, coming up, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Bless you.
Thanks for making your case, and good luck on that DNC chair race. All right.
All right, folks. So I think Ellison is the right man for the job. If you wouldn't mind, do me a favor. Would you click on the like button? And also, next to my name, would you click on that notification button so that when my new videos pop up, you get notified immediately. 'Cause I'm going to start running a boatload of videos. I've been a little under the weather for the past 3 or 4 days, so I am in a major catch-up mode, and I promise you that by tomorrow morning I am going to be completely caught up with the past 3 or 4 days worth of news that I think should be brought to public awareness.